Hi class, my name is Veronica Nelson, and today I'm going to share with you a little bit about something I know on a deep and personal level, and that is how parenting has taught me so much about communication. So some of the tools that I've picked up along the way are a couple of books and then a couple of teaching methods that really kind of resonated with me over 2 decades of parenting, and I've grown alongside 7 very different human beings. So through trial and error and a lot of tears and a whole lot of love, I've learned that effective communication is not just about getting the kids to listen, but it's truly about connecting with them. So some of the tools that I picked up along the way are a book that I purchased when I first had my boys, and then Love and Logic's method, and also the 5 love languages. And they haven't just helped me with raising kids, but they've also helped me become a better communicator for every relationship with my husband, with coworkers, with conversations just like these. So whether you're a parent now or want to be someday, or you're simply just trying to improve how you communicate with people, I think that you may find something useful in this speech. So the first thing I want to kind of talk about is how every child is different. So is every listener. So what's proven to work for one child may not necessarily work for the next one. It actually very rarely happens. Take for instance my daughter Amina. She was the dream child, an academic scholar. She was very driven, very respectful, athletic, never in trouble. We could tell her just one time, explain something, and she would just take it to heart. But then my daughter Onuhea, who's my youngest, is the polar opposite and by far the most defiant. She's very strong-willed, she's spirited, she's uninterested in any kind of reasoning, especially when needed to follow the rules. And with her, we're still kind of learning, and that changes also every single day. Then we have Nicholas. He's my oldest, and he lights up every room that he walks into. He's extroverted, he's social, he has this magnetic energy, he thrives on fun and affection, but not so much on structure or rules. And then we have Alyssa, who is most like me, and she's very nurturing and introverted, but she's incredibly strong-willed. She's quietly firm, she's thoughtful, and she needs a whole completely different kind of communication. She needs some soft, clear direction, and she has a lot of emotional intelligence. So what really kind of showed me the difference in these children and how to parent them was my identical twins, and they kind of set it in for me that every child is completely different, and even with the same DNA, they still have different personalities. So they started off, one being very extroverted and one being more introverted, and then as they grew a little bit, got a little older, they changed and they kind of flip-flopped on me. So now the one that was more introverted before was now the extrovert, the social butterfly. So it kind of set in stone for me, like, wow, this is, ever evolving. And just when I thought I figured them out, they grew again. So my first attempt when they were small was this book called Raising Boys. So I was confident, that I knew how to raise a girl. I knew everything about being a girl. But boys, I was a little nervous, and I wanted to make sure that I did it right. So I got this book, and this kind of taught me the 7-7-7 rule, which is children when they're 0 to 7, they kind of need more of mom. They need to be nurtured a little more. They need that loving, tender side. When they're 7 to 14, they kind of need more dad. They're kind of growing into like their personality and their gender, and they kind of want to emulate what they see dad doing and being. So they tend to look for that kind of role model and example for them. And then when they turn 14 and they're into adulthood, then they kind of start to fall into their own. So they don't really need a preference over mom or dad, but they kind of need a guidance from both as they maneuver and manipulate those teen years. So the second thing I kind of want to talk about is the Love and Logic parenting little crash course that I took. This was beneficial for me, and this was kind of pivotal in my parenting because I never liked being the enforcer. It didn't feel good to me. I didn't like being the bad guy or the one that, said no. So dishing out those punishments and those warnings were always difficult for me. But when I found Love and Logic, it's a philosophy that changed how I disciplined and I parented, and it made me not have to be the bad guy. It deals a lot with choices and consequences, and it allows natural consequences to kind of be the punishment or the reason behind it. So they, the teacher, that's what I mean to say, it makes them the teacher. So if they choose poorly, then the consequence becomes the teacher and not me. So if they choose, say for instance, not to wear a jacket when they go outside, then that's a choice and a responsibility, and their independence for them to say they don't want to wear a jacket. But they know if they get cold, then that's, you know, a choice that they make, and they have to live with that natural consequence. They're not in trouble by me, but that's the natural consequence of their choice. This method worked especially well with my son Caden. He's my charmer. He's brilliant and insanely talented, but he's also very, very lazy unless he's truly motivated to do something. So instead of having to force him or, you know, punish him for his lack of effort, I started just letting those natural consequences kick in, and they really helped shape his choices. If he didn't want to get his homework done or he didn't want to do that, he'd have those bad grades, he couldn't play sports. That was him owning that outcome, you know, not me. So that was most beneficial with him. I loved it because it gave me the permission to kind of step back and allow them to make their own choices and respect that independence. But it also still helped me teach them, you know, responsibility, which is, you know, what makes them end up having more successful lives. So the third point that I kind of want to talk about is love languages. And this is a book about each person's individual love language. So in the book, it describes how there's 5 love languages. There's words of affirmation, there's physical touch, there's acts of service, there's gifts, and there's quality time. Each child and each person, for instance, has their own way of showing love and also feeling love. So your love language kind of dictates how you show somebody that you love them, and that changes for different people. So if you don't have the same love language, then you're not always understood or knowing that somebody's trying to show you love. Nick, for instance, he thrives on words of affirmation. So just a simple, you know, you crushed it today, son, or you looked really out there, you're really good out there on that court, then it makes him light up. He really responds to that well. Whereas Alyssa is a little different, and she responds more with quality time. So just sitting with her in silence is meaning more to her than maybe a quick hug or something physical. I know Haya, my little one, she's actually the one that thrives best on the physical closeness. Hers is the physical touch. So to her, a hug or holding her hand or, you know, gentle touches when she's upset, those mean the most to her. So I think understanding these love languages really helped me understand what ways I needed to show them my love, and them as well when they were doing things maybe that was them showing me love that maybe I didn't recognize. For instance, with my husband, he's an acts of service type person, and I'm more physical touch. So when he's trying to show me love, he'll do the dishes, or he'll do the laundry, or do things like clean my car out for me. So that's his way of trying to show me love, where I'm more physical touch. So I'll come up and give him a hug while he's doing dishes, and that's kind of us just, you know, loving each other. So if you don't understand the meaning behind it, it could be difficult to know what's happening, but once you do, it really opens up those doors to kind of see how effective it can be when you purposely and intentionally try and show love, or you understand what somebody's doing and their motivation and intent behind it. This also, I like this so much that I bought the kid version for the parenting stuff, and that kind of goes into a little bit more. It's the same basis and principle, but it goes into a little bit more what you can do specifically with children in that. So I really liked that as well. So in conclusion for my speech, I just wanted to talk about their uniqueness and how I've learned that communication comes not just from control or perfectly chosen words or doing everything right and being the model parent, but it comes from really an understanding and a consistency and that love. So these tools really helped me set respectful boundaries and strengthen my relationships with them, and I'm sure that they're not just for parents, they can be for all of us. So at your will, you can go ahead and use these techniques or these methods and have it benefit you in your relationships as well. So thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it.